very good evening and a very warm welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I am Savindri Jayawardena. Let's look at the top stories for the day. President steers revival of the Export Development Council after a lapse of 28 years. $2.2 billion light rail transit project suspended. News in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa outlines the necessity of creating new market opportunities needed for diversification in markets and products in exports. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa made these observations during a discussion of the Export Development Council, which was held yesterday after a lapse of 28 years. The first meeting of the Export Development Council, which was held yesterday under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, focused on resolving issues related to exports in tandem with the National Export Strategy to be a game changer in the post-COVID-19 economic transformation of Sri Lanka. President Rajapaksa outlined the responsibility of the Council in creating new market opportunities needed for diversification in markets and products, adding that many of the signed international trade agreements are not favorable for Sri Lanka. Evaluating export data over the last couple of decades, President Rajapaksa pointed out that although exports have grown, exports to the gross domestic production has not increased. The areas the Export Development Council discussed included the removal of para-tariffs on industrial raw materials to make exports more competitive, introduction of an export reward scheme to encourage export community, appointment a trade facilitation committee to address issues swiftly, establish one-stop shop to expedite trade facilitation and promotion of export processing villages countrywide to enhance capacity. Accordingly, the export reward scheme will be applicable from the 1st of October 2020 to the 31st of March 2021, where SME exporters will get 3.5% of the incremental export turnover of the same period a year ago and 2% for large exporters of the incremental export turnover for the same period. The Export Development Board announces that it will make a formal announcement with all details in the immediate future for the export community. A letter issued by the Presidential Secretariat states that the proposed $2.2 billion light rail transit project has been suspended by the government with immediate effect, claiming that the project is costly and that it is not the best cost-effective transport solution for the urban Colombo transportation infrastructure. The project to set up a 17 kilometers long LRT line between Colombo and Malabe was to be partly funded with a $1.85 billion loan from Japan International Cooperation Agency, which is commonly known as JICA, at a concessionary interest rate of 0.01%. The loan was to be repayable with 40 years and had a 12-year grace period. Later, the government announced that the project would be carried out as a private-public partnership, converting it from a loan project to an investor project. In the meantime, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, who served as the cabinet spokesman of the interim government, said the construction of the track will take place in the future at a lower cost and with fewer disruptions. However, the letter suspending the project added that a suitable solution can be worked out with the Urban Development and Housing Ministry and the National Planning Department of the Finance Ministry. In keeping with the Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor manifesto by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, People's Bank begins to accept fingerprints of pensioners for verification purposes. Accordingly, People's Bank becomes the first state bank to accept fingerprints for verification purposes, replacing the conventional life certificate. Department of Pensions recently introduced a facility that enables pensioners to use their fingerprint as verification instead of the time-consuming process of obtaining and submitting a life certificate to the department. Accordingly, the People's Bank, following the guidelines put forward by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, joined in effort of utilizing technology to enhance the efficiency and output of the state sector. With this new facility, any of the nearly 650,000 pensioners in the country, irrespective of whether they are a People's Bank customer or not, can walk into any of the selected People's Bank branches and conveniently provide their fingerprint on a specialized electronic device. Such fingerprint is accepted as equivalent to the submission of the life certificate and is instantly updated in the Department of Pensions records. The facility is initially available at 75 People's Bank branches across the island and will be subsequently expanded to other branches in the future. The new technology-driven process using the fingerprint is a welcome relief to all pensioners, as they will be able to attend to this verification matter conveniently by making a quick visit to a People's Bank branch. The obtaining of the life certificate by the pensioner is annual occurrence and plays an important role in the Department of Pensions' efforts to regulate the process of pension payments. Pensioners can call People's Bank on its hotline of 1961 or visit www.peoplesbank.lk for more information. Stay tuned for more news right after this break. Welcome back after the break. United States donates locally procured personal protective equipment worth of $191,000 to support Sri Lanka's COVID-19 response. Thus, the medical consignment includes masks, nitrile gloves, isolation gowns with hoods, infrared thermometers, and portable oxygen concentrators. U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka and Maldives Elena B. Teplitz donates personal protective equipment to Sri Lanka's Minister of Health Pavitra Vanyarachi yesterday as part of the United States' ongoing assistance to Sri Lanka in its response to COVID-19. The donation includes 23,000 masks, 24,000 nitrile gloves, 600 isolation gowns with hoods, 60 infrared thermometers, 50 portable oxygen concentrators with a large supply of expendable equipment to support their operation and disinfectants. The donation was funded by the U.S. Department of Defense, and all items were procured locally in keeping with U.S. efforts to support Sri Lanka's local businesses and industry as they recover from COVID-19's economic impact. In Sri Lanka alone, the United States has provided more than $26 billion in health assistance over the last 20 years, and this latest donation builds on more than $6 million in COVID-19 assistance in 2020. On behalf of the America, the ambassador recently presented 200 brand new high-quality ventilators that enable Sri Lanka's health providers to deliver quality care that could save lives. Nationalist parliamentarian of National People's Power, Dr. Harini Amrasuriya highlights that constitutional amendments should not hinder the power and autonomy of the commissions which work to restore democracy. Accordingly, parliamentarian Dr. Harini Amrasuriya brought forward these observations addressing the parliament yesterday.
Democracy is not an ideal that can be fulfilled immediately. It's a process. It's always a work in progress. And we have to take steps that will broaden and reach that ideal rather than resort to interventions and to policy or constitutional amendments that restrict that democratic space. And I think the Elections Commission was one of the main arms of ensuring that democratic culture prevailed in our society. I do not think that in the current situation within this capitalist system that we will ever reach that ideal of democracy, but we must always reach towards that ideal.
Let's take a look at a few more stories for the day in brief. A group of 21 Sri Lankans have left for South Korea on a Sri Lankan Airlines flight yesterday to resume their foreign employment, which has been suspended due to the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. There are currently about 23,000 Sri Lankan workers employed in South Korea, all of whom have applied for employment under work permit system. Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment stresses that more people are expected to be sent to South Korea for employment in the future and that the necessary steps are being taken to do so. In the meantime, High Commission of India based in Colombo states that 174 Indians, including an infant, were repatriated from Sri Lanka on a special Air India flight from Colombo to Mumbai and Delhi today. The flight was scheduled as part of Vande Bharat mission, India's initiative to undertake the largest ever repatriation from all over the world for return of Indian nationals stranded abroad due to COVID-19 pandemic. Moving on to more local news, the Sri Lanka-Italy Business Council of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce held its 21st annual general meeting at the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce recently. The outgoing president Sonali Leonamana stated that the 2 years certainly had been a difficult time for Sri Lanka due to events such as the Easter Sunday attacks and the COVID-19 pandemic, where both have had an impact on the businesses and investor confidence. The newly appointed president, Tira Roche, stated that we need to look at the bigger picture and identify avenues such as renewable energy, e-commerce, medical tourism, research and development, innovation and technology. Stay tuned for stock updates right after this. Welcome back after the break. The trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a mixed note today. The all-share price index gained 39.1 points to close at 5,811.2 and the S&P SL20 dropped 4.09 points to close at 2,481.92. The turnover was 2.8 billion rupees and over 403 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. And that's all news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care and good night.